shady. You ain't been calling me baby.
This is not targeted towards anyone. I'm just speaking on my personal experiences with Black toxic parents because it's an issue that needs to be addressed, and that's just what I'm doing. So do not take this offensive. If you do take it offensive, sometimes you have to look on the outside in and figure it out. But I'm not here to target anybody, and thank you for watching my video.
Welcome back to another video. It's your girl Stephanie, and today I had a plan to do a reaction video, but then like I just felt like I needed to vent, and it's about parents. Like,
what? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
like I know it's like it sounds crazy, but as African Americans, and I know like I don't know, different races have their own issues with the parents and how they feel. I just feel like they're not necessarily toxic, but they're like, I'm trying to think of a word. Like if I know the words I'm trying to say, I'm gonna put it up here somewhere. But it's like, you know, to me, like Black parents, they're very hard on their children, which I understand because, you know, like our whole race had to go through so much, and I understand that. And it's a lot out there in the world, especially in 2019. You know, you got the police officers, you got fucking racial profiling. Even not even with police officers or going to the job, you get racial profile whatever you do. Especially where I live in Georgia, that's as soon as you open up the door, you're getting racially profiled. I can't even talk because I'm just over it. But it sucks in the fact like you can't really open up to your parents sometimes because you feel that not necessarily gonna get judged, but you're like I don't want to be bothered with it. So it's kind of difficult to do so. And then when you do, sometimes you're over dramatic, or like when you're really hurting. But I'm not trying to get emotional because I'm like, I've had it like up to here a little bit. So for example, what I mean by like when you say what's wrong, if you go to your parent with a problem, I'm speaking for my race in general. Well, yeah, my race in general, because you know sometimes some Black parents aren't all the same, but for the most part, they're kind of all in the same bowl. Like, you know, we got a couple of them that are understanding, but not really. And don't mind my hair. Like, I took my braids out because I wanted to give my hair a break, and I threw my hair in a bun, and it's like a semi-roll bun. But back to what I was saying. I had to like clear up my eyes a little bit because I was starting to cry, but it's cool. So when you go to them with a problem and you're complaining, you're being over dramatic, it's not that serious, get over it. And I feel like as African Americans and women especially, because I mean I can say this for boys too, we hold so much in, and it's kind of annoying because like the first person you want to tell is your parent, or you want to tell your mom, or you want to tell your dad, or whatever. We usually go to our siblings, and if you don't have siblings, I don't know, you probably go to cousins or whatever, or just shit, smoke a blunt, I don't know. You do something to ease that like frustration you have. Like in all actuality, sometimes I just want to talk to my parents, but I know I cannot do that because it's going to not necessarily go through one ear and out the other, but it's not going to register how I want it to register because I'm either being over dramatic, or it's not that serious, Stephanie, or you're doing too much or whatever. And I'm just like, yo, like, if you knew how I felt, and I'm not sure, like, I know for one thing, when my kids come to me with a problem, I'm going to take them seriously because there's kids killing themselves out there, and it's not okay. Like, I've had a situation where I was just ready to end everything, and then, whew, and it just sucks because it could have been really avoided. And like, I love my life now, like I'm fine, but the fact that I even wanted to end it all, it was just like, and mind you, I'm in middle school, so what is a middle schooler having to end her life for? Like, I don't get it. And I know people want to look at me like, Stephanie, oh my god, like, I know you felt this way, whatever. I mean, I don't tell nobody my business, like, at all. And I mean, I come to YouTube because it's actually like it helps me get out, and like helps me talk, and helps me promote my business. But like the true sides of me, like, it's sometimes there's struggles going on. And if you hear squeaking, it's my chair. Like, it's the rubbing with the the leather. I'm in a leather chair, and my shirt is rubbing on the back of it. But beyond that, like, there's some kids out here who really go through stuff, and everything could be so avoided if parents would listen to their children, or like just show the slightest bit of interest. Like with me, my parents, okay, I lived with my dad when I was, I think, from 11 to senior year, and I just graduated in May. And I went through a lot. Like it was really toxic for me. Like that's when the whole me ready to end it all type thing happened. Well, look at all, I'm crying. I'm trying not to cry, but it's a really sensitive topic. But that's when the whole like me just ready to be done. Listen, this chair is like my hair looks a mess. But that's when the whole situation was done, and I was like, and I look back and I thought like maybe like as my family we would figure it out. Like it would be a wake-up call, like, hey, sometimes you need to talk to your children and not just jump down their throat about everything, and like really see what's going on. Because like I said, if my kid comes to me with something and I see they're moving different, I'm not gonna sit there and be like, oh, you're being over dramatic, it's not that serious. Like there's clearly something going wrong. They feel some type of way for them to be acting the way they're acting. And it really sucks, because you would think your parents are supposed to be your superheroes, when all actuality, like, they're the one who bring you down in the first place. Like, you do so much to make them happy and make sure that they're proud of you, and you always put their opinion before yours, and you always like, okay, what would I do if I did this? How would my mom feel? How would my dad feel? And I'm honestly tired of living like that. Like, I'm free spirited, so I don't like being necessarily worried about what the next person is going to say. And I've been living like that my entire life. So from like, since I'm older, I'm now 18, and I know in my last video I said like, you're 18, you don't have, you live under your parents' rules, it's whatever. But with me, it's kind of like, I'm trying to think of the word. It's kind of exhausting, I could say. Like, I feel like that's the really good word for it. It's exhausting, especially because I've had to deal with someone, and I love my dad to death, but like I've had to deal with someone like who wasn't there mentally, and then come live with my mom and have to deal with what I deal with now. And even though I love my parents to death, but it's really exhausting, especially as a Black individual and a young woman at that in 2019, for you to have to hold so much in and have to hide so much because you know that your parents aren't going to see it the way you see it, or they're not going to accept the way you think or accept the way you act. Or it's basically like trying to compete with making them happy versus making yourself happy. And it's so exhausting. Like, I'm telling you, like, if you're doing that right now, just stop, because one or two things are going to happen. You're going to get tired, and two, you're going to get tired. Like, there's I don't know how long a person can take with holding so much in and trying to make everybody else happy without making themselves happy. And I had to learn that myself. Me as an individual, I'm happy with who I am now. Like 6 years ago, that's not the same person. Like, I wouldn't have said that 6 years ago, because I've been through so much. And the fact that I've been through a lot and I've never told anybody, probably like my sisters are probably the only ones who know, and my boyfriend knows a little bit, but he doesn't know everything. And my sisters know, because they're my sisters, and they were the person I can talk to when I was going through it with parents and just society in general. This chair is really blowing me. But yeah, I just felt like I needed to talk about it, because if I held it in, I knew that it was just gonna put me in like a depressed state that I hate being in. Like, it's honestly annoying to be in that position. And I try not to, like, I was diagnosed with depression, but I don't claim that, because that's not who I am. So even though it was diagnosed, I don't believe that I am, because I refuse to put myself in that category of being depressed. I like being happy. I like being like, I like to like enjoy myself. I don't want to have something on my shoulders, and knowing that little things like that can like bring me down, it really bothers me. So I have to talk about it. And usually I talk about it to my sisters, but you know, I'm like, no, because there's so many kids who go through this with their parents and seeking for acceptance and seeking for approval, that this needs to be talked about, because it's a really big issue. And I've been living with it for like my whole life without really saying anything. And it's to the point like you say something, but you know, Ryan, like you don't care. Like I'm not even about to, like, even if you're excited about something and they don't think it's worth being excited about, they're like, all right. And I'm just like, yo, like I really hope this next generation, because we've gone through so much, we're better at parenting, not actually like providing parenting or necessarily giving love, but giving the care that is needed for the child or when they're growing up, especially because there's kids out there like 5-year-olds saying that they're depressed and their parents are like, what in the world is going on? It's because you don't open your eyes and see your child. You see someone that you've birthed and that you want them to do better. You don't see the person there. You see them as your child, but you mentally, you guys get what I'm saying, you don't see them for who they really are. And when they have issues, you're like, what? She's 5. Like, she be alright. Like, she's a little kid. She doesn't know. Yes, she does. And I hate when people say, oh, they're too young. They don't know. Because I promise you they do. And it's just the fact that you don't want to believe that they know. So you say they don't. And I'm just like, oh, it's really frustrating. And to me, I think because another reason, I'm the youngest out of 2 girls. One, my sister is 28 or 29. Shante, don't kill me because I don't remember. And the other one is like 24, 25. They're one of those 2 numbers. And because I'm the youngest, of course I feel so, oh, you're too young. You don't need to, it's not your concern. It's not your concern. But if I see it, then I feel it. You know what I mean? And this can go for anything. Like if you've seen something and like you know your parents going through something and they're talking about it to your older siblings, you want to know too, because you're watching it. You're like, what is going on? Like, you know what I'm saying? And it's kind of exhausting to the fact that like parents will sometimes like put you down, and you just sit back and like, damn, like you're supposed to be my parent. Like, I mean, of course, like, yeah, you're my parent, but like, why would you even do that? Like, I don't understand. And especially in the Black community, I'm talking about Black community in general. So when I'm talking about parents and I'm going back and forth from like how they treat their kids to how they act, I'm talking about my race, Black people, Black. So that's what I mean. I don't want anyone to take offense to this, because it's really not offensive. It's about me ranting and expressing how I feel, because I feel like it's a really big issue and it overlooks so much. Like, this issue bothers me to the point I'm sitting here making a YouTube video about it, because I'm fed up. Because I've been living with it my whole life and I'm honestly done. So that's all I had to say. I know this video is probably really short and it's kind of a little bit depressing, but I just like, if you're a parent out there, like, listen to your kids. Do not put them down. Like, if they're going through something, don't just throw it to the side and be like, you're okay, because they're not going to be okay. If at that moment they'll get over it, but they're going to remember that every single time you tell them they're going to be okay, and it's not okay. Just because, I personally feel like, just because if your parent raised you a certain way, that does not mean you have to raise your children the same way you were raised. Me personally, my parents didn't do a bad job. You know, we've had our things, but I will not raise my children the way my parents raised me, because what I had to go through, I don't ever want my children to go through. And that's just like, it's not necessarily a sensitive topic, but it's something I can talk about now, because I've grown, like, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. I've grown. So now I can talk about it. And I'm just like, and if you're going through something and you don't think your parents are going to listen, show them this video. Like, let them know. Well, no, probably don't, because, you know, Black parents, they're like, okay, what are you showing me this for? Like, what are you trying to say? Like, that type of thing. They're really defensive. And that's another reason why we don't want to talk to you, because you're so defensive. Here in the rules right here, and I want you guys to enter it. It's only $1 on Cash App. And you tag 3 people under the post on my Instagram. I'm going to put it right here. You're going to tag 3 people under the post. And then after the 3 people, you send your Cash App in and you're automatically entered. You can enter up to 3 times. So if you send $3, you need to comment 9 people. 9 people. So once you comment your 9 people, you'll be entered. Giveaway winner is announced November 12th. All entries need to be placed in by November 11th at 12 p.m. Oh yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it was kind of depressing or whatever, but it's just something that needed to be said. And you know I'm real, so I'm going to open up and tell you how I feel and what I feel like that needs to be changed, even though I'm one person, and that's not going to change the entire world, because shit, like the shit that's going around in the news now, people talk about it all day long and nothing gets changed. So I'm honestly over it. I'm still gonna talk about it, but I'm just over it. That's another topic for another day, and I'm not gonna get into it. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, because if you don't, I'm gonna be hurt and we're gonna have beef. So you might as well join the family. Like, we're supposed to be like this. You can't be like this. Like, this is not a family. It's not what we do. We talk and communicate over here, baby. Bye.